Thanks, CJ. Eric Pfeiffer here, and catching up with an Indiana farmer with the Indiana Soybean Alliance, and Carey McKibben is here with me.
Pleasure to be here.
Carey farms in LaGrange County. Let's talk about just the 2025 season. We've got to look back here. We're still in early January, early part of 26. What was the 2025 season like for you, Carey?
2025 was a great season. I mean, wheat was our record for us in our area. Corn was very good. A lot of guys had record yields on corn. Beans were a little more variable. Some guys had really good beans, and other guys had a little lower. So probably more average on the bean side for us.
What are we thinking here as we go into 26? Obviously, every season is different, and I know how some of you farmers are. You can get, there's 2017 we had this, and the weather in 2012 was like, but it's going to be a little different. But what are we thinking as we go into 26 from a preparation standpoint?
Well, I mean, we were extremely dry up in our area, so we're finally getting some moisture. I mean, it's snowing out there right now. We're beginning, it rained earlier, so we're getting some of that moisture back. We still probably have a little ways to go before we have the moisture that, totally we need. So, in some ways we like the drier, especially during spring, that way we can get going and get the crop out. On the other hand, we need the moisture too, because, the crops need that.
As you walk around the Fort Wayne Farm Show here, how important are shows like this to what you're thinking about for 26 and for the future? What types of things are you looking at while you're here?
So this is great. This is a great show. This is one of the best shows in the nation. Other than Louisville probably. I mean, we're lucky to have that as close to our farm as there is. The equipment and stuff. I mean, guys are always looking to upgrade a little bit. Looking at. It depends on if you're a guy that, bought seed already, not bought seed, some of the fertilizer and some of that stuff. There's a lot of products out there and a lot of things to consider, especially when, dollars are tight. You got to sit there and go, how much can I afford to upgrade? Or, is this a year that we're not going to upgrade any? We're just going to, maybe do a small implement, that attaches to something, like a planter, an attachment for that or something.
Carey, you mentioned dollars being tight, and I think this is kind of a good segue into what kind of work you're doing with the Indiana Soybean Alliance. I don't know what the latest number is, but I know it's a darn good one. For every dollar invested, what comes back to the farm? Maybe you've got it. I don't know. I didn't prep you on that one, but it's a good number. It's a good investment what the Indiana Soybean Alliance is doing. And while I love the Fort Wayne Farm Show, it's a great event. My favorite event every year is the Soybean Innovation Competition that's held at Purdue University that's put on by the Indiana Soybean Alliance. Talk about that competition. Talk about some of the other things that the Indiana Soybean Alliance is doing to bring that value back to the farm.
Okay. Before I get, that by far my favorite, activity too is that Purdue competition. But I think one of the things that's bringing the most value back, especially to Indiana, is Ohio Lake soybeans.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now, this year, you get somewhere around $1 a bushel, if you're going to go Ohio Lake soybeans. A couple of years ago, was better premium. But we are the only nation that's able to grow Ohio Lake soybeans, and that is because of the checkoff dollars. We made sure of that. And so there's a lot of, Indiana has, somewhere between 2/3 to 3/4 of all Ohio Lake beans grown in the U.S. That's a lot of money coming back to farmers.
Absolutely.
And Purdue's, competition for the students it's just fantastic. Amazing what these kids that come into teams that not all of them, most of them aren't even in ag. They're from engineering. They're from all different disciplines at Purdue, and come together, form these teams, and it's amazing what they come up with of how to use soybeans for all kinds of uses. Candles to, looking at packaging, different ways to use it. We also now have a competition just on the food side for soybeans too. So, looking how we can use that soybean protein, soybean, isolates and all that stuff in the food too.
I know this one wasn't the winner, but I think one of my favorite ideas from last year's event, I'm pretty sure there was a team that did a soybean-based golf ball. and maybe even they tried a baseball. There are all sorts of sports balls that they were trying to do. I think even pickleball. They were trying to do pickleballs made out of soybeans. So
Yeah.
it's just really neat stuff, and that's what the Indiana Soybean Alliance is trying to do to bring value back to the farm. Carey, thank you so much for your service on the Indiana Soybean Alliance board, and thanks for joining us on Hoosier Ag Today.
Well, thank you very much, and it was great talking to you.
From the Fort Wayne Farm Show, I'm Eric Pfeiffer.